We're gonna go into production. We've kind of chatted about this. FPS equals frames per second equals frame rate. That's not your shutter speed, that's your frame rate. That's how many frames the video is capturing every second, okay? I remember I used to get them mixed up, like, what's your shutter speed? And then it's like, no, what's your frame rate? You want your frame rate. So they're two different variables. In your camera, you will set the video frame rate when you select your video setting. So it doesn't matter if you had a 5D Mark II or the newest cameras out, like the Z6, or who shoots Canon? Canon has like the RP and the 1DX and the Mark IV is sort of their newest full frame. Like in there, when you pick your video, you'll be able to pick a bunch of different options. But the one you want to do is like the highest one for this to work, okay? I mentioned this already, 24 frames a second is the standard in Hollywood. Television 60i, and then makes everything look, I don't think these keepsake films should look like a soap opera. So just use it. If you're in doubt, just use 24. You could use 30, you could use 60 even. That's what I do. That's my recommend, and it benefits you in a few different ways. So how to make a keepsake film? This is the steps. This projector's not super high res or large, so I know it's a little small. Take a photo of that. I'm making it very simple, but it's how I do it. Load footage into the editor. We've shot it all at 120 frames a second, or the highest your camera could go. Then you can convert it to 24 frames a second. So you're telling your editor, hey, treat this like it's 24 frames a second. So it'll take every frame on your video and just like be like, okay, and there's 24 of these every second, so it just knows to stretch it out, okay?
Which program do you usually use?
I use Adobe Premiere for video editing. Final Cut can work as well. I don't know, I've never tried iMovie. And then there's another one called DaVinci Resolve, which is like a free one now, which has really good reviews. I use Adobe Premiere because the way my brain works and that programmer they made Photoshop, and so a lot of it works like Photoshop. A lot of it's cumbersome, but I like it. Select your clips in the timeline. So basically I like look through all the footage, and then I just look through it. Now I'm looking at it only slow-mo because I've converted it. And then I just pick that part of it and put it in the timeline. Okay, so I'm just going through every clip, taking all the good things, I throw it in the timeline. Because I shot it in order, I'm putting it in the timeline in order. Now I have them in the timeline, I choose a soundtrack, I choose a song to fit it. I might have already had one in mind. Sometimes this is the hardest part of it. Like I'll spend an hour looking for a song and it takes me 20 minutes to put the rest of the film together. So I choose a soundtrack, I start building the story, I make clips cut with the beat sometimes. I don't do any crazy transitions because I feel like they will date. Just like, remember when people would do album designs with like 3D effects and stuff like that? I feel like crazy transitions will be one of those things where it like dates the content. I color grade it, the last step, once I basically have it. So I'll tell you how I do this. And then I export it which is basically like taking your raw photo, turning it into a JPEG. Exporting a video is turning it into the final thing.
Do you have specific songs that you like, or do you buy them?
So I use Soundstripe for music. They are like $300 or $400 a year, and you can use any song on the website as many times as you want. So you guys probably remember if you're making slideshows like Music Bed, everybody was getting like triple scoop music, and it was like $50 to $80 a song. And these guys are just like $300 a year. I can use any song as much as I want, and their library is really good, and that allows me to put them on Facebook or YouTube without them getting taken down. So the first keepsake films were all copywritten music. I just stole it, and so I can't put those online. Good. This is how I set up the sequence. So there's differences in video to photo. The sequence is like your thing you're making. Think of it like an album almost, like it's your thing, your defined artboard. So the resolution's 1080p. The frame rate is, I've mentioned 24 frames per second. You'll always find it's this stupid number, and mathematically the difference between that and 24 is like 0.02 whatever. Like it's just like everything electronic has been, when you say 24, you're actually doing 23,976. They aren't the same, but they're kind of the same. I just use that because that's how the camera, like if you buy any of your cameras, if you shoot 24 frames a second, you're shooting that, 23976. So I like everything being like exactly. I have an editing demo if you guys want to see kind of how it looks in the timeline. This is, I'm very like, I like to see how things are done. I watch YouTube videos on this stuff like all the time. So I'm going to mirror my screen. We'll talk about LUTs. So I'm going to give you an editing demo, and then I'm going to talk about LUTs. LUTs are presets for video, basically. And then if we have time, we'll go over experience and delivery.
How long does it usually take you to do a video from start to finish?
If I have the song, an hour would be a good amount of time.
How long are they?
2.5 to 4 minutes.
Do you play them on the song, or?
There's a way in Adobe products. There's ways you can take one song and lengthen it or shorten it. There's like an automatic way on this program called Adobe Audition. It'll just do it for you. Or you can, like I'll just kind of slice them at the same beat, different parts of the song, and then crossfade them. And sometimes that works too. You guys ask me questions. I'm kind of just going to show it. This is an already edited video. I'm going to show you kind of how it works though. You guys have any questions?
Like when you sort of decided to add family sessions after doing your weddings, are you now finding them to be profitable compared to your wedding?
So the way I've found, yes, I have found success in it. So I charge $9.90 for a session, and you get the keepsake film, a 15 by 15 inch canvas print I make, and the digital files. And people will come into the studio. They can take their files and print them anywhere they want, but they will always buy them from me because they like people buy why you do what you do. I make my canvas museum grade, and like most places you buy canvas. I have no idea about Technicolor right now. It's been so long, but I use like a varnish on the print. I know it's like literally how you make a painting reproduction, and I just tell people that, and I tell them I do it myself in the studio, and people tend to like that. So I'm averaging like $2,000 per session, except when people don't come in and do their reveal, like that one family, like then they don't even order the one that's included. Because people don't want to make the choice. People want you to tell them what to get. And then I do albums too for family sessions or lifestyle sessions, which are like, when you can't make up your mind, I'm like, get the album, I design the album, send it off, and then do the canvas prints too, and then they'll do like a combination.
Do those during the week and still do your weddings on the weekends? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, so like in a weekend I only like to do one a day. Like creatively, my mind, it's too much for me to like do more than that in a day. Like it's hard. So I'll still do a weekend session. Like the ones at the lake are typically on the weekend, but yeah, feels good. I can do them on Tuesday. If the weather sucks, I can postpone it. Like there's a lot of perks to the family sessions. Okay, so I said I start with my footage. I've loaded this in already. This is so small because it has to size down to this screen. You have a project with Premiere, and then in the project, that's where you're working. Then you have a sequence. That's your actual video you're making, okay? So I start it. There's a billion settings. It's overwhelming because it's like, I don't want to use the wrong one. So I pick this DSLR 1080p one, and it works. And so it's 1080p 24. And if you look over here, you see it's 23976. So it's not 24. Like, I picked that one. If you pick any of them, you can change them all to those settings. You just need it 1080p and 24 frames a second. I'm going to call this one test for PPOC. So we made the sequence. I've opened it up. This is called a timeline. There's nothing in it. We can play it. I can't even play it. There's nothing in it. So then I go through my clips. I said I convert them. So out of camera, I'm going to show you what they are out of camera. 119 or something. Right? Okay, so this clip, I'm just going to like load it. Oh, this is like, oh, that's not the one.
Do people ever call you and say, no, I don't want the video, can I get just photos?
Yes, and I say no.
And you say you're getting the video anyway?
Yeah, they're like I had one guy, he's like, I don't really want the video and I don't really need the print credit. I was like, okay, like that's what's included. If you don't want it, like I don't have to make it for you.
Yeah.
I will charge you the same amount. And it's standing my ground, and it's like,
How do you deliver these videos to them?
I'm going to show you that. I put it on PickTime. I put the video on YouTube and then use the link from YouTube to put it into PickTime. So when you give them their gallery, they have the first thing you see is keepsake film, and then you go to their photos. All right. This is so small. It's the projector. Is this okay? Is that big enough to like kind of prove points? I've slowed this down. This is just straight out of camera footage. And so it's nothing good yet. I'm watching it in slow-mo. So I'm just waiting. You can speed it up a little bit. I know that she looks up at him. I like that part. I hit I for in. She looks up at him. I like that moment. I pressed O. I have this, you see this little window? That's my clip. I drag just this. I bring it over here. I now have a clip in my timeline. That's my first clip. Okay, so now when we go to the timeline, that's the video I'm making. That's the video I'm looking at. That's the video I'm making. So now I'm like, I don't know if I could play it. I don't know. Okay, that's all I'm doing. I'm literally just like, what are good clips? I put them all down. I don't necessarily know the order yet. I like that kiss. I'm gonna hit I again. I'm gonna let it play. I'm gonna let him kiss her. I watch what the eyes do. The eyes are the gateway to the feelings on a person. That's good. That's enough of a shot. I don't know if that's scientific or not, but our brains are funny. We like really subconsciously like see a lot from just like eyes. Okay, 2 clips. We might stop there. But I just go through every clip I took and I do that. And then at the end I have this timeline with all these clips together. I put the music track in. So I already picked this one. This is the one I used for their video.
Do they transition nice in this? Or do you have to like put transitions in too?
I don't use transitions other than cuts. Like in the odd fade in.
Okay.
Let's just get this. I need the audio on this thing. So now I have a song in here. And so like if I was gonna build the clips, I would put I'd like fade it in. So I have this like fade in. I like my videos to start like that. I don't put titles in for like their names or anything. I don't know, maybe.
Know who they are.
Yeah, kinda. I'm not making it for like the world. I don't have to say this is our engagement session. I thought about it. Maybe if I was going to do it, I was thinking I'd put it at the end. I don't know. So then I put a music track in that I picked, and then I kind of work through it like this. So that beat came in. That's when I want it to start fading in. So I have my playhead there. I line it up. Then I look at it. Does that feel better? That kind of cut by default at the exact right part. But like, let's say this went here. Let's say I don't like where it's cutting there. I'll just listen to it. Hit the space bar. We can then shift the clip over. So then now I have this like, this is kind of how I build a video. Okay. And then I would stop that clip there. I don't like her eyes closing at the end of the clip, so I'd probably shift it somewhat. So that's that. Let's assume I finish the video. Then I do color grading. I'm going to show you exactly the way I do it, because and you can do it whatever way you want. I don't actually have to edit the videos. You put this thing like called an adjustment layer. If you know Photoshop, you know this. It works in Photoshop. You put an adjustment layer on the top, and it works the same way as in Photoshop. So it's like top down. So I can literally go to this thing called color. I call it Matt's workspace. So in color, I could edit the clip, and I could be like, oh, I want a little more contrast. Be like, okay, that's good. But then I go to this clip. I don't have that contrast. And you don't want to have to be like,
Oh, it doesn't go with the whole,
if you do it on the clip. But if you do it on this adjustment layer,
the whole thing.
it does everything underneath it, okay? So I can go contrast. This is why I keep my white balance the same, because this makes, if everything's just a little too warm, I can cool everything down. So I put the contrast on that adjustment layer. Now we got contrast on the whole thing. And then it would be like, okay, that one's a little darker. I can do the exposure a little bit. And like at the end of it, it's only like 3 minutes. Like, it's just quicker than editing like a photo session. You're just going one clip at a time.
I find that hard to believe. Like, how long does this take?
Well, like, I mean, you saw the intro. Like, we're at 14 seconds of video. Like, I'm a eighth of the way done an actual video. That color looks good to me.
So complicated.
So I'm gonna do one more thing. I got a couple minutes left. I use things called LUTs. This is I have this folder called Toolbox, Software Presets, LUTs. I like this really harsh one called Filmic. You just select it. It handles the LUT. I like it, but now I have to color grade. It's too dark, right? So I just do the clip underneath. But I love it. It's super warm. It kind of matches the way I edit photos. Again, too dark. I could actually put multiple adjustment layers. So I have the LUT, and then I have the color, and then you have it on your whole video. If you want to sharpen your video, you can put an adjustment layer, sharpen it on the top, and then that's it. So that's how I build a video. We're 14 seconds in. That is a quarter of a minute. If it's 3 minutes long, I'm like, whatever.
Is this how you do your vlogs as well?
I would do the vlogs similar. I'm using audio.
Oh, right.
I would use the same color grading. Like, I have a mic on now, and so you'd have to have it line up with the video, cut the story, put it together. You want to see all the parts where you're talking first, so it's a bit of work. Is that helpful? And then you would export. I have you take your thing, your sequence, you go File, Export, Media, and you pick your export. It has things, you can literally pick one that says Vimeo or YouTube, or you can Google export settings.
What do you usually export?
I export a 1080p video. So, like, I have my own I made, Matt's Fat preset 1080p, and then you export it. So it'll just save it. Cool? This is Soundstripe. It's super awesome to pick music. I was going to show it. I'll just show a pick time gallery. PixieSet works really good too. You can do video in PixieSet. I switched from PixieSet a year ago, but I started it with that. Oh. And it'll actually autoplay it in the background. It's a little, I think it looks a little nicer, but it only does that on a desktop. So this is that one family I showed you. This is their gallery. When you scroll down, you see the keepsake film. They can hit play, and the video's right there. And so that's from YouTube. I just posted to YouTube. I don't pay. It sucks that it's like autofilling more videos to watch based on what I would watch, but whatever. It's free too. And then their photos are in here. If you guys want to see anything in particular, I can show it. We switched this. We used to do highlights and then more photos. Now we just put all the photos together. I found like they would always pick photos that were like not in the highlight. And so then it was like, wow, then they're out of order. So now we just keep them all together.
Do you make this gallery before they come in?
Yeah, it's online. They just don't have it. And then after they see it, then I'll send it to them. I'll send them the link.
You're using your eye to pick the ones you think are good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving them, in this example, photos.
They're not involved in the selection process is what I'm asking.
For the print, yeah.
For the print, yeah, but not for the digital.
No, like I give everything good. I don't have like a limit on it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then the experience in delivery. I've chosen to have clients come into my studio for a reveal. I use PickTime to deliver my work, or you upload the photographs directly and then post the YouTube link and embed it. That's the PickTime demo. That's it. Did I miss anything? Everybody's good? Well, thanks so much for having me. Oh, stop it. I'm just kidding.